And Corla Taoiseach, I recognise that we are in the middle of a global crisis, and I've intervened on this issue twice in the last few days. However, there is also a real crisis nationally in the community and voluntary sector, which provides services for children and families. And while I will refer to Sligo Leitrim here this morning, this is a nationwide issue. The community and voluntary boards in Sligo Leitrim provide and run services funded by TUSLA, but they are not in a position to pay their staff decent wages commensurate with their experience and qualifications. These boards are not financially in a position to pay increments to their staff, to ensure that they have pension contributions, to fund paid maternity and paternity leave, and many of these staff have no comprehensive sick pay arrangements. The services that I speak of refer to supports and services to children, young people and families. They include home-based targeted family supports where clients are referred by CAMS, disability services, local GPs, schools. These services provide supports to early school leavers, asylum seekers, refugees, travellers, parenting programmes as well. So, as you can see, Taoiseach, these services, run by voluntary and community boards, provide an extensive range of quality, professional, caring services. And the different services and staff are held in high esteem because of that conscientious, caring and responsive nature of the services they provide. At one level, you could say, money couldn't buy this, and at another level, that's true, because these services are run by voluntary boards, saving the state huge sums of money. But critically, why I refer to this as a crisis is that many of the workers, the staff who provide these invaluable services, are in many cases stuck at the bottom rung of pay structures. Many staff, 10, 15 years in the service, have received just one, or in some cases, no increments. There's no salary scale for staff and no financial credit for training and experience. Yes, there has been core funding increase for family resource services, and that's good. And this core funding has gone to provide extra services, and that's excellent. But none of it is for family support workers, for counsellors, for youth workers, for play therapists, those who deliver these services. In Sligo Leitrim alone, these services interact with several thousand families and children. So I know you won't disagree about the value of the service, but in order for the service to provide a quality nationwide service and to the people of Sligo Leitrim, we must adequately fund the service, and not just a block grant, but a proportion of that money must be ring-fenced to ensure that the staff who provide the service are paid a decent wage.
Taoiseach, please.
First of all, thank the Deputy for raising this issue, and to say at the outset that I share the Deputy's comments or admiration for all of those who work in the community and voluntary sector, particularly those working under the aegis of TUSLA, who provide a range of services, as you have said, right across the board in terms of family resource centres, home-based supports, supporting early school leavers, and much, much more. And the fundamental point is that under the Child and Family Agency Act, going back to 2013, under which TUSLA was established, it stipulated very clearly that the funding arrangement to such community and voluntary bodies would not give rise to an employment relationship between a service provider, its employees or agents on the one hand and the agency on the other. And there have been significant funding increases in the last while to the bodies that work with TUSLA or who are funded by TUSLA. As you know, TUSLA is not the employer itself. So if you take the family resource centres, about 121 with a core annual budget of 18 million. And that has been raised in the context of the National Employers Group by trade unions such as SIPTU in numerous representations to the Minister for Children, Equality, Disability and Integration and Youth. TUSLA provides funding to those and to over 600 community and voluntary sector bodies to deliver services on its behalf under sections 56 to 59 of the Child and Family Agency Act. There's about 130 million now, 130 million in TUSLA funding to such bodies in terms of broad range of family supports. And additional funding, I think an increase of about 4% in sustainability increase to those services as part of the TUSLA budget. I think it's an extra 41 million was allocated in the budget of 2022 in respect of these bodies, which is a significant enough increase to the bodies concerned. And that's really that has been the way since the inception of TUSLA, since the establishment of TUSLA, in terms of providing core budgets to these organisations, budgets which are increased in terms of the annual allocations from TUSLA, and particularly during the COVID period and this year in terms of the 2022 budget, a significant increase was allocated to TUSLA to sustain and to allocate to these community and voluntary bodies who are associated with TUSLA's statutory remit for family supports.
Harkin.
Taoiseach. And yes, you're right, there is an increase in funding and there is an increase in services, and I welcome that and I've stated that. But those services are delivered by staff, by the workers who man those services. And you said yourself that this has been the way since it started. Well, I would put it to you, Taoiseach, that it's time to change or at least review that way. The average staff salary in these organisations is €33,000 per annum, yet the average wage in Ireland in 2019, based on CSO information, is between 40 and 49,000. Most of these staff have level 9 qualifications, masters, and they provide the services that are invaluable to families and to young people. And I would say to you, Taoiseach, that it's not good enough to stand back and say, TUSLA increase the amounts of money. Part of that money, in some way, written into the tender, into the public procurement. Don't ask me how it's done. There's enough experts to do it. But it must be to ensure that the staff who provide those services have decent jobs, decent wages, want to remain in the service. Staff retention is a huge issue, and I believe we need to act on it.
Well, first of all, I accept the Deputy's genuine commitment to this sector. Indeed, I've been engaged with many of the bodies over the years in respect of the services that they provide. And funding has been significantly increased, and indeed in the most recent budget, apart from the additionality that was provided to TUSLA by the Minister following the discussion on the estimates, further funding was provided in terms of from the Dormant Accounts Programme, for example, about 650k to family resource centres in 2021, and again a further $1 million in Dormant Accounts funding, also just to the family resource centres alone, to progress minor maintenance works, purchase of essential office and so on. You're talking in terms of salaries and the pay and conditions of those who work in the various bodies under the aegis, or those who work providing services and who receive grants and core funding from TUSLA. TUSLA, there are various mechanisms by which these issues are pursued in terms of WRC and so forth.
Okay.